Good morning. We'll call to order this October 8th Authority Board meeting. We need a motion to excuse Mr. Miller.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, before we take a motion to adopt the agenda, we have three modifications, or two modifications. First, we need to remove item 6-C from the consent agenda and move it to finance. Oh, sorry. And move it to finance to item B.3.6. Second, we have a walk-in action item to the executive director's report. That'll be item A.2.6, titled Resolution Adopting the Southeastern North Carolina Hazard Mitigation Plan. Need a motion to adopt with those modifications. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Dr. Cannon?
Our September 10th minutes are included in the packet, and if there is no discussion, I would make a motion to adopt those.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll have, for public comments, we have one speaker today.
Mr. Plaskett, if you'll come up to the podium and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Plask, if you come to the podium, state your name and address. We have a 4-minute limit on speaking. I'll prompt you when we get close. Okay. And to the board, we're going to hear all the comments from Mr. Plaskett, and then we can make a recommendation for an update for staff at our next board meeting. So, thank you for coming, Mr. Plaskett.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. My name is Tom Plaskett. My family lives in Wilmington. In fact, I brought my daughter with me today in the back. She's my moral support. Well, good morning, Chair, members of the board, and staff. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and want to commend CFPUA for its transparency and forward planning. My comments today are focused on helping identify opportunities to maintain the rate stability while advancing the system improvements we all support. I provided all of you with my research because my 4 minutes would not even suffice to get that in there. And that was the catalyst for me even looking into CFPUA, and that was the introduction of the new irrigation consumption rate to the revenue mix. I have 2 meters at my home, so I'm affected by that directly. I understand the need to generate more revenue with the addition of the town of Wrightsville Beach to your structure, the Southside treatment plant, which is just looming, the project is looming, a big project, the funding of the infrastructure projects related to the Wrightsville Beach addition, and don't forget the ongoing projects and maintenance. Irrigation rates took a hit for its share, but I truly believe it could be reevaluated to apportion that load onto all customers who irrigate, meter or not. Please do not forget also a change from uniform rate structure could include a block rate structure as an option. Something to think about. There have been glitches along the way since 2008 when you were formed. Some excess costs incurred and questions which have arisen I don't know totally, but maybe due to some NCUC oversight you don't have. Some changes are needed or could be considered, and these fall in the following classifications. Transparency. Publish a full cost of service studies for irrigation. Accountability. Create a ratepayer advisory committee with citizen members. Stability. Cap year-over-year increases unless an emergency exists. And oversight. Commit to independent review of rates before your fiscal year 26-27 budget adoption. Things to look at. I want to thank John McLean and Ken Waldrop for making the time to sit down with me, gentlemen, and share an immense amount of information about CFPUA. In the end, all the pieces fit together to end up with a cohesive entity that you have that provides extremely necessary services to the CFPUA customers, both large and small. 4 minutes is not enough time to thank all the folks who helped me, like Gerardo and his team, Donna, and all the folks involved with gathering all that data to put the budget together, which became my Bible that I worked from.
Mr. Plaskett?
Yeah.
You have 30 seconds.
Thanks, John, for giving me the Environmental Finance Center contact information. Lots of information. It was great. I'm no expert in public utilities. I have an accounting degree with emphasis on cost accounting, and that's influenced my perception. I don't have the panacea to end all the concerns, but with your staff and leadership that you now have in place, you're doing a great job. CFPUA is going in the right direction, and I hope the board of directors should continue their goals and guide the process in a positive direction, because it's a huge task to keep the revenue, expense, and debt management on target. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plaskett. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to our consent agenda for today. We'll take any comments, questions, or motion.
Some questions on F, if you want to pull it.
Okay,
Facial.
pull item F. Any other items or motion to approve the other items? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Adams?
So on F, does that include, does the grant include the final connections to the home, or is it the same thing where the homeowner has to make his own private connection?
I'll take that, Ann. We've set up this grant and all the projects to essentially from soup to nuts, from the main to the building footprint and disconnecting the homeowner's well. We've set up all our grants from that design. We recognize there's some debate, but we think that's the best way to address all of these connections.
Okay. And on the map, there was notations of some dots were legacy and some dots were Comores. What's the difference?
Well, legacy is PFOA, PFOS,
Okay.
and Comores is
Comores
Comores.
the PFAS signature.
Yep.
And then one last question. Is there any potential that EPA is going to withhold the funding to DWI, or is this already in the works?
Yes, there is that potential. So with your actions approving this today, our next step was to sit down with our lobbyists and partner with the county's lobbyists and the city's lobbyists to seek support from the administration to release the funds.
DWI, to release it from DWI?
No, from EPA.
Okay.
So the letter is contingent upon EPA releasing the funds. With your action today, our next steps are to work with the administration and to demonstrate to it the benefits of these funds and their use.
Okay, that's all I had. Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Yes, F and G, both items, F and G.
We already approved G. I just pulled F. They were together, though. Yeah.
Okay, with that, the consent agenda items pass. Moving on to administrative reports, attorney's report.
I have 3 items for closed session. So I will need a closed session item to discuss Comores, or CFPUA versus Comores, and pending litigation. But other than that, no report.
Okay, executive director's report. Ken?
Before you, you have our standard key indicators, safety report, environmental reports, strategic plan update, and the economic development projects update. I will note that we're going to be working hard over the next couple of months to try to refine and densify some of these reports so you don't have 5 in the future. I know I keep saying that, but it's coming. So for the 5 reports that are in front of you today, are there any questions for staff?
Mrs. Apple.
Thank you. I have questions on key indicators and strategic plan update. Ready to go ahead?
Yes,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, thanks. I know the key indicators, the Southside wastewater treatment plant is running at 6.47 MGD, which is the lowest in 12 months. You know, the capacity is 12 million gallons a day. Are we anticipating it slowly going down? I thought part of the urgency of replacing it, and I know it is because it's simply beyond its age and it needs to be, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of pressure on that. Or is this just an anomaly that it's going down and we're anticipating it going back up again?
Right now, we anticipate that this is an anomaly. It could be influenced by our work to correct inflow and infiltration.
Yeah.
Could also be influenced by wet weather or lack of wet weather flows. We're still trying to understand ourselves why the flows are dropping.
Yeah.
And, you know, it could be something as misleading as meter misalignment. So there's work to be done, and I'm going to direct Kevin and Craig to look at this because, we now have 5 data points. That is a trend.
Yeah.
We probably need to look at that very seriously and try to understand why that's occurring.
Ken, what does it mean by meter misalignment?
Well, I'm not saying that this is the cause, but, these flows are monitored by a meter. So if that meter is incorrect, it may be providing erroneous data. I don't know that that's the fact. I don't suspect that's the fact, but we need to look at all things because it is extremely unusual to go from the high flows that we've been looking at to a declining series of flows.
Yeah.
But as a reminder, we are in the dry season of the year, traditionally. So that may be part of the influence. From May to September and November is typically the drier season.
Thank you. Moving on to the strategic plan update. I saw we had a tough month with the endowment, that they rejected our proposal to help citizens in Bay Shore get clean water. Man, that one kind of escapes me as to why they'd say no. Also, no help for the Southside wastewater treatment plant. Do we have a committee or an oversight committee that looks at these grant applications? These are 2 huge projects that benefit the health and safety of our entire community. What is the feedback from the endowment that they would say no to both of those? And if I read the report right, there's really doesn't seem to be any specific reason. They're just simply saying no. Something's wrong here.
It seems to be a misalignment with the endowment's intended utilization of funding, or at least what they've communicated to us. These are both capital projects. We are working with endowment staff to try to influence the consideration of this spending. But as you probably know better than we, there is an open debate on the endowment's funding strategies. And we're simply putting forward projects that we think fit their existing strategic strategy, but that's not the feedback we're getting.
Helping our citizens get clean water, it doesn't get any more base than that. It's my opinion. But thanks if myself or Commissioner Scalise could be of any help in this, or any of the other board members. I'm saying maybe we need to take a look at how we're applying, so maybe even something as simple as the language. I just can't believe that we're getting brushed off on critical issues like this.
We will sit down with endowment staff and see if there's any language improvements. One of the things I'd like to do is I noticed that one of our parents offers resolutions in support. So when we do go back for these projects, we'll ask this board for a resolution of support. And then, of course, we ask the elected officials of our board to please use their bully pulpit, let's just use that language, use their political influence to share the importance of these projects.
Can I just add a little bit from our meeting with you now?
Yes.
Part of the problem that they expressed to us is the size of the project versus the size of the ask. They were concerned that we were asking for $10 million on a $400 million project and that was just not a drop in the bucket and was not something that would be enough to move a needle. And that's something that we're sort of dealing with. As far as Bayshore, they were concerned about underserved communities and us giving them a water bill. So we are sort of trying to figure out how it is possible for that to be a little bit mitigated. So we have some things that we are thinking.
Could you repeat the last little thought there?
Yes.
They were concerned about Bayshore I'm talking about.
Yeah, so Bayshore, parts of Bayshore are an underserved community, parts of what we were asking money for. And there was some concern in terms of affordable housing that we were going to be presenting these people with a water bill. And that may be something that they could not afford, that would cause some housing instability. So we are thinking through some ways to maybe try and help mitigate that.
As you can understand from those two reasonings, there are issues here. We can't ask, we figured 10 million was a large ask for the endowment. The feedback was, well, we don't think that that's going to make us appreciable difference. Well, if we ask for 20 or 30, we're concerned the feedback may be, well, you're asking for too much. We're suggest bringing clean, unpolluted water to a home. And the feedback is, well, we're concerned you're then going to be charging for it. Although the project is turnkey in terms of the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult for us to thread this needle. We're going to do our best. I want to thank Brittany and the sustainability team for the work they did on that, on those grant applications. We will submit again, but I think it's probably more impactful to have leaders like yourselves share with the endowment board your thoughts on these issues.
What caused the water to be tainted?
That's the legacy Camor's.
Okay, the point is, where are they? I mean, they're doing stuff at every other place. Why are they not jumping in and doing
We
this?
do have a little bit of buy-in from Camor's in terms of paying for the hookups for the homes that are identified as being caused by Camor's, but the legacy homes, they won't buy into at all, so.
And there is significant, what we call legacy, PFOA's contamination spread throughout the county. You can see it most impactfully in terms of numbers in Bayshore. So the grant applications, if I recall correctly, were focusing on the parts that Chemours would not be required to resolve. We were trying to target this money, but apparently the argument of providing clean water to mitigate legacy contamination was not a strong enough argument in this funding cycle. And we respect the staff over there, and we thank them for considering it, and we're going to resubmit and try to make a better argument.
Thank you, Ken. That's the proper framing. The endowment has a lot of people coming to them every day, and just because we heard no right now does not mean that it will be no forever. And in fact, it's been my understanding and experience with others that I've helped through these grant cycles that what may not be appropriate now may be appropriate in the future, and they will work with you to refine your application and your grant request so that it better aligns with the framework that we've established for them over there and they're trying to abide by. So it's easy to sometimes be critical whenever you don't get what you want immediately, but I would encourage us to have the long view on this and stay committed to the process, and we might just find ourselves successful in pursuing it in that manner. That'd be my advice for how we do it.
Thank you for that framing. And we will, and I will remind you that we have been successful to date in acquiring $22 million, and we are going to ask the current federal administration to release another 6 for a total of 28 and a half. So that's come a long way in the 3 years that this board has been working on this problem. Congratulations for that work.
I think, yep, that's all I had on the strategic plan update. Thanks for the conversation and the explanation.
Okay, thank you. I also have an action item, a walk-in action item. I'd like to ask Deputy Executive Director Beth Eckert to come forward and describe the item. Thank you.
So I think most of you that are elected officials anywhere are very familiar with the hazard mitigation plans, which basically an all hazards mitigation plans where the entities, jurisdictions in the southeastern North Carolina have met over the years and came up with a plan. CFPUA has always participated in those plans, but we had never actually adopted the plan as a board. And whereas the city and the county did in 2021, they adopted the plan. And we found out we are applying for several grants that we've been working with the Department of Public Safety, and we've gotten some very encouraging feedback from them on moving forward with that, because they align with the statements and that are within the hazard mitigation plan that align with resiliency and redundancy and recovering from natural disasters. So with regard to our infrastructure for Sweeney as well as several of our pump stations. So we got very, very favorable feedback, but we found out Monday afternoon that just being a party to it and the fact that you guys had, at the city and the county had adopted it, but we had not, we had to adopt it personally. So I appreciate you all, Ken and everybody, let me bring this in so we can formalize and get these grants in towards the end of the month and meet that deadline. The 3 grants that we're looking at, one is the replacement of the Sweeney old generators. There's 3 generators at Sweeney that are old diesel generators that we'd like to replace. That's a $15 million ask. And then there's 2 pump stations, one in Clearbrook and one in Acorn Branch. One's about $450,000, other one's about $690,000, which includes the replacement of generators, as well as getting controls and elevating up out of the floodplains. If you're familiar with those areas, they're along the intercoastal as well as Hewlett's Creek, and so they're tidally influenced, so even king tides can impact, or high tides whenever we have hurricanes and bad weather can impact the safety of our staff getting there, as well as the operation of the pump stations. So we would like to y'all support in passing the hazard mitigation plan that has already been passed by the city and the county and the other jurisdictions in North Carolina, in southeastern North Carolina, that's a party to the plan, such that we can move forward with applying for these grants.
And again, thank you for your patience. I apologize for walking this in. When we put these grant applications together, this is kind of the second or tertiary duty of staff, and sometimes things just kind of hit right under the radar. I want to applaud staff for doing this and trying to get $16 million from this new source. So good job.
Question? Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Beth, where do these pump station modifications come on our CIP? And why haven't they been risen up so that we're dealing with it right now?
Okay, the pump stations, specifically these 2, would fall under the miscellaneous pump station projects, and they would be identified and prioritized. We were applying for these because with the resiliency as well as the flooding and everything, there is a need for it. But in the grand scheme, if there's not free money, they may not rise to the level of being the #1 priority on the pump station.
Yes,
but with it, these are 75% grants, as well as a potential additional 25% match from the state. So, and we don't have to take the money if we get them, then we have can make the decision of where to get it or not. But even to move forward with applying, we have to adopt the plan.
Allow me to remind you, and I
Yes.
apologize because we do so much together. But the Long Range Planning Committee spends a lot of time looking at the prioritization of capital improvement items. And you may recall, it's a risk versus impact calculation. And sometimes replacing a water line, replacing a sewer line simply rises above resiliency projects like this. That's why we ask staff to go look for alternative funding so we can do both.
Ken, it's my understanding, and after sitting on the long-range planning for a number of years, the beauty of the red, yellow, green graph that we get on there with each thing is that it looks beyond all of these specific funding issues to tell us we got a problem here. And what you identified with both these pump stations plus the emergency generators, they should be flashing red. So that's all do we need to recategorize or something? Because I'm somewhat surprised by this, that's
I
all.
will say the Sweeney generators is in the CIP. The other two would fall under miscellaneous pump stations, so.
Yes, the generators are in the CIP, but as a reminder, we moved over $80 million in the CIP to try to mitigate rate impacts. So unfortunately, as you well know, sometimes we make difficult choices to try to reach the best decision overall for the ratepayers. Finding additional funding makes that a little easier.
Sure. No, I'm totally supportive. We can get this grant. That's great. 75%. Yahoo. Let's go. Do you need a motion on this? I'm sorry, Jim?
Go ahead, Yeah, we need a motion to adopt the hazard mitigation plan. NC hazard mitigation plan is the authority's hazard mitigation plan.
So moved. Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer, it's, Miss Adams should go on there as making the motion after all that
Got a
work.
second? You will.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that concludes Executive Director's report. Move on to committee reports. The Executive Committee met October 1st. Those minutes are in the packet. Any comments, questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Quickly, I noted in there the 3.8-mile connection to connect the Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Line to Sweeney being led by the U.S. Navy Corps of Engineers.
It should be Army.
Aha, okay.
Thank you.
I was hoping there might be another group that I didn't know about.
It is their birthday, you know.
Okay. Also, there's it seems to be a lively discussion about IBTs, which are really important, that happen in executive committee, and also the 1,4-dioxane. My question is, what is being proposed here? There seemed to be some inference that there was some changes there. These are all big issues for us.
So very, very quickly, applicant for an IBT upstream of us, Fuquay Varina, will be publishing, if it hasn't already, its environmental impact statement. They have modified the request to ask for even more.
Yeah.
They've said they were moving from 6 to 8 million gallons a day with an ultimate request of 20. We are working in partnership with Fayetteville PWC and Brunswick County to evaluate their proposal. We are, of course, going to oppose any ultimate permanent removal from our basin. We do support their use of water if they return it, because we believe in win-win. But we have an outside attorney and 3 outside engineers working on the problem.
Where's our lobbyist on this?
Since this is at the Environmental Management Commission level, I'm managing that personally and directly. If it looks like it's not going to be managed well at the administrative level, then we will, of course, engage the lobbyist and the local delegation. We're trying to respect the process. You may recall, we've worked closely with its chair, J.D. Solomon. He helped develop your first strategic plan, and trying to respect his management of the process. Our request is, okay, grant a transfer, but mandate a return. If for some reason the EMC doesn't do that, then of course we'll approach the delegation and we will recommend litigation.
Yeah, this is a big deal for us, Ken, I know you get it, but if this happens here, it'll just be a beginning, well, it's a continuation of what's been happening over years, to a point where it's really going to affect the amount of water we have down here at the tail end of the Cape Fear River. Thank you for your focus on it and working with the EMC. I know you've dedicated a lot of time. Please stay on it, and if we need other muscle in there, let us know as a board. We have got to say stop. The 1,4-dioxane.
As you may recall, EPA Region 4 had some concerns about the City of Asheboro's NPDES permit and a modification removing 1,4-dioxane from it. The city has asked for a public hearing. I and Nicolette Fulton will be traveling to that public hearing on the 22nd, where we will be advocating for 1,4-dioxane limits in NPDES permits upstream. We'll remind them that if it's discharged into the river, somebody has to deal with it downstream. And we think the best approach is to deal with pollution at its source.
I don't think you'll have any argument down here. Do you have any idea of how successful you might be, or is this just whistling into the wind?
We are going to do our best to show a good argument and trust the process.
And we are also working hand in hand with Fayetteville, PwC, Brunswick County, and the same outside counsel that is working with us on the IBT issue, to issue not just comments from Ken and myself, but also written comments that are combined from our three organizations, because there is more impact in numbers.
Are they all in alignment with us on the 1,4-dioxane?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Is there a judge involved in this?
There is a judge involved in the current appeal of the Office of Administrative Hearings case involving the City of Asheboro. It is now being heard in Wake County Superior Court. The judge is what they call a Rule 2.2 judge, which means he is going to be the same judge for every hearing on the case. And that is Judge Graham Shirley.
But this particular action that we're talking about is administrative at the federal level. So we're working the problem from multiple angles.
All right, moving on to Long Range Planning Committee. Mr. Hackney.
Planning met September 25th, the minutes in your packet. At that meeting, we had a progress report from CFPUA's decision to modernize facility names for replacing the wastewater treatment plant with reclamation facility. We had a presentation on the biosolid incinerators at the City of Greensboro, had an update on the south side wastewater treatment plant replacement and capacity upgrade. And we also had a discussion on proposed revisions to the key performance indicators.
May I ask a question, because I apologize, I'm unclear. Kevin, are we formally asking the board to modify the name at the table here today?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so that is actually an action item. I apologize to Mr. Hackney. He asked me if we had any action items. I said no, and then when I look at it, I realize there is one. So we are formally asking if you will allow us to align with best practice from our peers to rename these two facilities to reclamation facilities. And as staff, we asked for your motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I had a quick question on the long-range planning minutes. I may have this wrong, but I noted in there that the fluidized bed incinerators dealing with sludge are listed at 75,000 to 100,000 each. I don't recall that being that. If that's the case, we should buy 10 of them tomorrow and set them up and let's go.
I apologize, Commissioner, that should be going in.
That's just a couple of zeros, yeah. All right.
Good eyes. I apologize.
Thank you.
I agree, we should stock up if they're on that, coming for that price.
No kidding.
Thank you for reading the minutes.
Yeah. Thank you. That was all. I'll talk with Kevin later. It's good. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to Finance Committee, Mr. Smith.
The packet is in your folder. We have we have 4 action items under the finance. But first, we'll have the monthly finance report by John. Came behind me.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Just briefly, I always say that, don't I? So just to look at where we are, I think this is the first time that we've shown the FY26 numbers. A little update on the audits. We are all done, and they are all done with us. They are waiting on a document that's called the compliance supplement that the federal government, OMB, puts out. It's basically their audit guide for auditing federal programs, which we are being audited for ARPA and SRF, or just ARPA this year? ARPA. Just ARPA this year. So they're just waiting on that. So what we've been saying is we're going to bring an item to you to talk about raising that $50 million mark, and it was going to coincide with the audit. So we are going to bring that next month when the auditors come. So, but as far as where we are this year, you can see that our unassigned fund balance is about 31.5. Now, what that includes is that we ended up last year with this unassigned about 53. But we transfer all of the capital appropriations, including what's going into the Southside Capital Reserve at the beginning of the year. So we're playing catch up, and that kind of it kind of manifests here. Looks kind of crazy, but I guess just because of the timing. But yeah, you can see like all year. This is 24. We're coming back up, right? And then here we go with that was 25, 26 takes a dip, and then we're going to be coming back up. So just wanted to kind of go through that. The other thing is okay, we don't have our main revenue slide here that would normally go between these two. We are retooling that to include some information on the new irrigation rate, and then also the Wrightsville Beach stuff. That way we can kind of get an idea as we go during the year what's going to be spun off into the capital reserve to pay for those projects, that rate differential piece. So just give us another month on that. As far as the SDCs this year go, it's better. We're budgeted to be around 300 for water, 275 for sewer. We're at 276 for water and 258 for sewer. That's a lot better than it's looked in recent years. And this is how it translates in terms of dollars. We'd like to be around 1.6. We're about 1.4. It's just coverage and debt. Don't really have much on that. What I did want to mention was here. So we have pulled back on our active investing. We have a program with had a program, I should say, with our municipal advisor, Davenport, where we do some pretty detailed cash flow forecasts that kind of predicts, where we have maturities that need to happen to fund these cash flow needs, where we have extra room, where we can pull down and actually invest those. We've stopped that in anticipation of the over $250 million in loans and grants that we have. And we've pulled that back, and it's in, well, this part is in the NCCMT, the North Carolina Capital Management Trust. This is our unspent bond proceeds. They have to stay here. But this other piece is the portion that we could invest in that program. And we've chosen, as our other investments, our treasuries, our agencies have matured, we are leaving them in the North Carolina Capital Management Trust. We have next day liquidity. We are still earning a return on those, but it's, in my estimation, it's the most prudent thing to do as especially Southside gears up, and we're going to see what happens in terms of the turnaround time from the state on those. How that kind of manifests, as I have this little graph that I put together talking about our returns. One is this blue line, which is what we achieve from our active investment program. And what we like to see generally is that we're beating this NCCMT mark, because we could just hand over the cash to them and they have a whole investment program. So we like to see that we're beating them, and we have been for the past little while. It's converged though, and it will continue to converge to where it's actually just this number, right? This portfolio is actually going away. This blue line portfolio is actually going to go away. So I just wanted you to be aware that we are still earning a return on those funds. We're just not actively investing like we were in treasuries, agencies, those types of things. Just in anticipation of the cash flow, potential cash flow crunch that is going to happen once Southside kicks up. And I think that's all I got. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, John. First action item we have is a change order for the guaranteed maximum price number 2 for the Southside wastewater recovery.
Wastewater.
Water recovery reclamation plant. Okay, new term. Are there any questions or comments relative to this item?
Yeah, need a motion. I make the motion and we move along with that.
Okay. Is there a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Next one is a resolution accepting low-interest state loan for the Southside Water Treatment Plant. Any questions or comments?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item would be the Executive Director approval limits. Questions or comments?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And the last one would be an ordinance approving the loan proceeds and reducing the bond proceeds for the Southside Water Reclamation Plant. Comments, questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Chair, just out
Oh,
of
good.
curiosity, since we're talking about it so much, Kevin, could you just give us a quick thumbnail sketch on the schedule for the new reclamation plant? I just literally, like year by year, year over year. I just want to make sure I remember. Thank you.
So thank you. I don't have a prepared presentation for you, but just with what you approved today, you approved the final design. And so the final design should be completing about December of next year. You're going to receive your guaranteed maximum price, your GMP number 3, the third and final one, by by spring, May of next year. And so, so the GMP that you approved today included a couple items. So it was the final design, but it was also the purchase of the long lead time ductile iron piping. There's about $7.5 million worth of ductile iron piping. The reason we wanted to pre-purchase that and get that on the move is because it is the piping that is under our structures. So it's embedded underneath the foundation slabs or in walls, and so we don't want to hold up the construction for that. So we're anticipating the construction, really should kick off late next summer, and we should be going into a startup phase in 2030. So it's a several-year project. Yes, Mr. Walter.
Just a slight clarification, so the GMP that you've approved, the design will be done in January of this coming January next year. And you will have before you, we think and hope, the final guaranteed maximum price, the last change order. You pull the trigger on building it in May.
Is that?
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's all of it. I just couldn't remember last time we talked about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Sustainability Committee, Dr. Ken, no meeting. All right, so good to Human Resource Committee. Fill in for Mr. Miller today. Human Resources Committee met September the 10th. Those minutes are in the packet. There's one action item from that committee, which most of the discussion in that meeting on September 10th was to review employee benefits for the 2026 calendar year, focused on the state health plan and the upcoming plan design modifications and associated premium increases. The committee reviewed these changes in detail and supports the recommended premium adjustments, with the fact that our executive director has been tasked and committed to exploring additional strategies to help mitigate the financial impact of these premium increases, and will provide an update at the Human Resource Committee meeting in November. So with that, take any comments, questions, and then need a motion to approve those new insurance premiums for calendar year 2026.
Mr. Chair, as many of you may have seen, last night I sent out an email. I want to make sure that our staff understands that we know that this change at the state level is going to effectively be a pay cut for many of our very hardworking employees. And we, I think just a show of solidarity and as a motion of goodwill, we recognize maybe everybody should take a haircut, and I think at some point we should talk about just foregoing our little stipends that we get each month as a board member, and in the hopes of setting up some sort of a pool where we can mitigate some of this impact on our employees. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and put it in the record.
I want to thank Dr. Cannon for her email last night. We're still working towards seeing if we can develop some mitigation strategies. What's impacting that today is a new fee announced by the Treasurer's Office that is still in flux. So we would like to take the suggestion that was offered last night, put it in the mix of solutions, and bring it back to you in November at the committee level. We're honestly going to try to do our best to convince the Treasurer's Office to hold off on this increase until the next budget year. That gives us a lot more flexibility, and we just don't have an answer on that right now.
Just for some clarification on my part, so local governments are not included in this, but for some reason utilities were under a new reading of an existing rule. Can you kind of break that down for me?
So I'm going to give you the non-legal answer. Please forgive me if it needs to be corrected. The Treasurer's Office looked at a change in the short budget that was adopted and believed that that change should also have been imposed upon 114 local governments that participate in the plan. So apparently, to me, they're using authorities associated with the retirement system to require more contributions from those 114, which include us, matching the state agencies, and they're going to move that money from the retirement system to the health plan. We question the underlying legal authority for that, respectfully, and have asked them to go back and look at it. And even if that authority exists, we're asking them to please defer it until next year because we did not consider $600,000 in expenditures in this budget. When we're not alone, there are 113 other local governments in the same boat. So we need about a month to see if the treasurer still believes that this is, one, justified, and two, supported by law, and three, whether he might consider deferring it before we can give you an answer on mitigation.
And this discussion has happened directly with the Treasurer's Office?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're working through the North Carolina League of Municipalities, but we're also directly communicating with high-level staff.
Okay. Thank you.
Quick question, and just a clarification, and thank you for including, all the graphs and trying to, kind of weed through it. It's a little confusing. But Most of the graphs that I have here are looking at a 70-20 plan on the graphs, but I know we're looking at a 75-25. What am I missing here?
So I apologize for the confusing nomenclature.
Yeah.
Because what we were talking about is the state healthcare plan offers two full coverage options, or coverage options. One is a cost split of 80-20, and then the other is a cost split of 70-30.
Yes.
When I say cost split,
Yes, right.
essentially, the plan covers 70% or the plan covers 80%. That's going away. The new nomenclature is premium and standard. And the new premium is actually the old 70-30. Now, layered on top of that, related, is the employer, in this case CFPUA, has some discretion on how much it shares the ultimate cost of the premiums. And this organization has traditionally covered 80+%. Upon recommendation of staff, we're moving closer to market. Market's actually closer to 50-50. So the cost split of total costs is now 75-25. And then layered on top of that is another new cost directly on CFPUA, the employer, $600,000. So total increase this year is $1 million, of which we're suggesting you shift no more than 30% total costs in a 75-25 split of the premiums.
That's clear. I'll just note into that, the county of which I have my personal there, picks up 52% of the overall cost. Percent covered by employer, 52%. So the plan that we have been working with and the ones that have been proposed are pretty darn good in comparison.
I think that we need to do a better job. I say this from my office on down. We need to do a better job of describing to our employees the benefits that you as a board have offered for literally 10 years plus that are well ahead of the market. So this increase is, nobody likes an increase. Nobody likes to see the costs spread out the way we have. But the reality is you're still providing better benefits than the majority of the market, including the city and the county. And we thank you for that.
Ken, just I'm curious, are these benefits available to the board?
I will ask our HR director if she will investigate that and report back. I do know for small other communities, for some of the towns that I worked for, that was actually the case, that the board could also participate in the plan. I don't know if ours is set up that way. We'll investigate and get back to you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, discussion, or take a motion to approve?
Motion to approve that recommendation with, again, the follow-up instruction to Mr. Waldrop to figure out how best to mitigate the impact on our employees.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move on to Communications Committee. Commissioner Scalise.
Yes, thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, the Communications Committee met on September 18th. We had a very good meeting and a couple of presentations. The committee received presentations on this year's customer satisfaction survey and the redesign of the CFPUA website. As you have noted, these presentations and related materials were included in the packets provided to us. That is the report of the Communications Committee. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any comments, questions? Okay, with that, any old business or closing comments before we go into closed session?
I just want to compliment Miss Adams on her shoes today. I really like them. They've got dogs on them. I've been looking at them all meeting.
Noted.
we'll take a motion to go into,
Motion to go into a closed session to discuss CFPUA versus Comores and potential litigation.
Second.
all in favor? All right.